I saw one during the Olympics.
Man, no,
It took off.
yeah, there was a gymnast that apparently looks a lot like me. I don't see it personally, but I had so many patients that were like, "Hey, you look like this guy." It was the guy that was on the
That's
pommel
funny.
horse. So they were like, "You need to like try to do
That is
some of these
funny.
things." So that was
That was a good one.
one of my my blunders. It's so hard to watch any of those.
Known as the biggest town you'll ever experience. With its unique historical background, Tulsa is home to a diverse range of people and businesses with a thriving economy, delicious eats, nightlife, and entertainment for all ages. Tulsa is also home to business titans, entrepreneurs, artists, and foodies. Whether you're considering a move to Tulsa or just wanting to learn more about the place you call home, the Tulsa is Home podcast is for you.
Welcome to another episode of the Tulsa's Home podcast. Today we get to sit here with Casey Flickinger with Ochsner.
Yes.
I was mispronouncing it. I was saying Ochsner.
Everybody does.
And so Ochsner Chiropractic.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have some really cool stories that go with the business and kind of how you got into it and all that stuff. And before we jump into the business side, tell us about who you are personally with your family. Where'd you grow up and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I'm a Tulsa native. Grew up in Bixby. That's where I graduated from. I married my high school sweetheart, Tiffany. She was at Bixby most of her life, but ended up moving to Edmond her junior year with her dad's job. But we started dating in high school, and then she broke up with me because I was too serious. I just knew I wanted to marry her is really what it was. And then we got back together in college at Oklahoma State. And
How did that happen?
oh, man. I'd get out of class early, my Comp 1 class, and I would sit in front of the library because I knew she was in her, I think it was biology class, and I always got out a little late. So I'd just sit there and wait till I saw her come out, and then I'd get up and just happen to walk by her. So I just regularly was pursuing her as best I could.
So you were either going to reconnect or get the cops called on you.
Pretty much is exactly what was going to happen. I don't know if I was stalking per se. I just made it an
How
option.
convenient, yeah.
So we just started talking again, and then she had a love for horses and still does, and she had a horse there at the time. And after many turn down of hangout times, she was like, finally, like, do you want to go out to the barn and help me with Lady? And I was like, absolutely. I'd love to go out there.
Love horses.
Yeah, well, I did. My mom had horses all growing up,
Yeah.
so used to it. But that's how our relationship started back up again. And
Cool.
so yeah, we got married right after we finished, which was in December, a week after she graduated. I was already done. And then Christmas happened. 2 days later, we moved to St. Louis for chiropractic school, and then she was starting speech path grad school in a small university in St. Louis. So anyway,
Did you guys finish up at the same time?
no, her grad school is 2 years,
Okay.
and mine's a little less than 4, not quite 4, for chiropractic school. So we were there almost 4 years. Loved it. We were in Chesterfield, just as a little suburb on the west side of St. Louis. It was a lot of fun. Enjoyed the culture there. So we were there. Tried to figure out where we wanted to go. Felt like the Lord was telling us different things at different times, but we finally we spent time in different places. It was Dallas, Denver, or Tulsa. And it was kind of neat the way it kind of happened. We both were not really sure where we were going. And I said, let's just pray about it for about a week, and then we'll sit down and we'll write down on a piece of paper where we feel like the Lord's telling us to, and then we'll show each other. And I think both of us thought Denver was where we were going to go because we both love the mountains. But I knew Tulsa, like that's what the Lord was calling us to. And so I was just like, oh man, this is going to be hard when I put Tulsa in here.
Yeah.
She puts Denver. And she was thinking the same thing. And we flipped it over and was like, okay, all right.
That's cool.
So
It's a good way to do that.
yeah. So we came back and started working at Ochsner Chiropractic Center. She started working at St. John. And then had 3 kids. I've got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Awesome.
So, yeah, one of them goes in the same soccer team as yours.
Yeah.
So,
The unstoppable defense.
that's right. That is absolutely right. They're so fun to watch.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so with your transition to, we were talking a little bit earlier about your interest in chiropractic and how it really wasn't there at first until you were exposed to it.
Yeah.
And so what was that journey for you?
Yeah, coming out of high school, everyone's asking you, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And, I wasn't quite ready out of high school. It was my junior year, but I knew that, just need to start thinking about it because people are always asking, what college are you going to? And my brother was, the first one in our family to go to college. So it was kind of a new thing in our family. So I started thinking about it and was just like, man, I don't know. I want to use my hands because we grew up on land, and I want to help people. And healthcare seemed like a pretty good field to be in, to get to help people. But I didn't really know what that looked like to use my hands. I didn't think I was, smart enough to do certain things out there. So I just started shadowing different people, whether it was PT, orthopedic. There's a few other little things, dentistry, because they use their hand. They're helping people. But a friend of mine was a pastor in town, Doc Blevins. He's since passed, but he asked me if I wanted to go shadow his chiropractor. And I was like, oh, sure, I'm happy to go. My mom had gone some growing up, but it wasn't something that we did regularly in our family. And we went to I think we went to lunch first, and then we went over to Dr. Ochsner's practice. And we pulled up, and I saw the name, and I was like, is this Kurt Ochsner? And he was like, yeah. I was like, I go to school with his oldest daughter, Hunter.
Which you have a good story about that, so we can put a pin in that, or you can tell it right now.
I can tell it. So in fourth grade, we were in the same class together, and at a lunch table, she'd gotten up. I didn't realize she'd gotten up, and I just came up, sat down in the chair. She came back, and she was like, "You're in my chair," and I was like, "This is my chair." And she was like, "I'm gonna pour this orange soda on your head if you don't get up." And I was like, well, go for it. And she was a woman of her word, and she poured that on my head. So I got up to clean up. And so that's kind of how the relationship started with their family, because they ended up writing me a note, and as well as the teacher, I think, saying they were sorry and apologizing. So, but I didn't know that her dad was a chiropractor until we pulled in and I saw the name. And anyways, so he was going in just as a friend with Doc to watch him get adjusted, because I had never seen somebody get adjusted before that time. And just how Dr. Ochsner communicated and talked with him, and they were going over stuff, and the relationship side of it was very intriguing to me. But when he started using his hands and working on him and talking through him some health stuff, it was like, don't know a lot about this, but that's what I want to do. I think that's what I want to do. I'm pretty sure that's what. It's just those whole thoughts of looking more into it. So
cool.
Kurt was just a big part of helping me learn more about, and was always really kind to let me come and shadow and be there more than just seeing one person adjusted. And that was when I kind of fell in for the love of wanting to help people in that way.
Yeah.
There's lots of professions and lots of doctors out there that do a lot of really good for people. That was just something I wanted to do. So
you were in high school at the time.
Yeah, I was a junior at Bixby.
Okay.
And it really kind of started my physiology and anatomy class, just seeing how the body worked together and how God made our body with all these different systems in place that kind of depended upon one another, and it works together. It was kind of just interesting and wanting to dive deeper into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So are there different philosophies of chiropractic? And then, touch on some of those and then hit on kind of your philosophy of chiropractic care.
Yeah, there's definitely lots of different philosophies out there as far as chiropractic goes. I think if you put 10 different chiropractors in a room, you're going to kind of get the same idea, but get a little bit different. There's different techniques out there that are trying to accomplish the same thing as what Kurt would always say, and I say now, there's some different methods, but the motive is the same. And the motive out there, or the philosophy, is to allow the body to do what it was created to do, and to try to create an environment within the body that allows it to function at its best capacity, whether that's creating good movement, a healthy diet, the foods that you eat, the things you know take in. But there's techniques where they're adjusting only the upper cervical, which again is a great technique. Some people find that works really well for people where they're only doing that. The school I went to, sorry about that. Logan, H.B. Logan, who started at school, he felt like everything started from the sacrum up or from the ground up. So that technique was basic, where they do a lot of work with the sacrum and some ligaments that are attached to that area. Sacrum's just in the pelvis. So that was taught at our school as a main, but they still taught a lot of the other, there's some less hands-on, or what we would call osseous types of therapies out there, where they use like an activator, which is like a little, kind of looks like a clicker gun that they are putting on different parts of the spine to create movement. And then there's more hands-on, where we're adjusting multiple areas of the body. So I kind of land in that ballpark of, we have dysfunction in one area, whether it's your neck or your mid-back or your hips and pelvis, and we're looking to how does the body move in that area that's not the correct way. So how do we fix that, or how do we attempt to fix that? And that's going to be addressing the soft tissues, which is muscle, ligament, tendon, the joint, but also how does that affect the neurological system, because they're all interrelated. It's hard to have a single one of those alone. It's acute injuries, where something happens, you break a bone, it starts off as just a joint issue. But given enough time, it's going to create dysfunction in the muscular and the neurological. So I kind of look at it as, I try to incorporate a lot of different things into that. So that's where the technique would be called diversified, but we kind of do multiple different things. But that's kind of where we're at in our office. But
when did you land on kind of where, and I'm sure it's constantly moving, and as you're learning, and just constantly learning.
So in school, you get exposure to multiple different techniques out there. And one thing I liked about Logan was that there were certain, like some of the really big based techniques out there, they made you take some of those courses, so you had a pretty good perspective as to how that works. But for me, it was just kind of seeing it from a more, I guess, technical way. It was like, man, this area is not moving well, it's not functioning well, which and then creating an issue. Let's focus on that. So it's just kind of where I landed. I think that there's good in all of those. Again, it comes back to motive. If we're at the end of the day, we're trying to help people move better, function better, so that activities of daily living are better. We can get there different ways. It's not a single approach that it has to happen. Yeah,
for sure.
So
how many other chiropractors are in your office?
Right now, it's just me.
Okay.
So, we when Dr. Ochsner was, I don't know if you want to get into that right now.
We can. Yeah.
Okay.
We can kind of talk how, the story and how it all came about. And
so I'm in my 12th year at Ochsner Chiropractic, and when I first started, I was the 4th chiropractor in the office. Dr. Ochsner was there. There were 2 other doctors, a guy and a girl. And then I came in, and then shortly after, one of the lady doctor, she left, and then wasn't long after that the other doctor left to go start their own practices. So it was just Dr. Ochsner and I for about almost 2 years, which was fun, but also like we were still wanting somebody else. So we brought in another doctor, and he was fantastic, and loved having him there. But in 2021, August of 2021, we found out Kurt had malignant melanoma. And it was about 3 weeks to the day from the time we found out his diagnosis to the time he passed. So it was just a real shock and a struggle walking through that, because we still had patients to see. And, we have a fantastic staff. I'd be remiss if I don't say anything about our staff. They handled that situation really, really well, and helped us walk through that. So then it was the other doctor and I there for about a year, and then he decided he wanted to go start his own practice. And I ended up staying at Ochsner Chiropractic, and we've had a couple of interns come in that, we were hopeful will work out. But as you know, like, you got to have the right fit.
Yeah.
And trying to find that person that fits well with your staff, fits well with the philosophy of what you're doing, and your patients. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not there, I want to know that I can tell you, hey, Roderick, I'm not there, but I know this guy or this girl is going to be able to take care of you just as well as I would be if I was there.
Yeah.
So we're still looking for that person. So we're actually just getting ready to put out a job posting, trying to find somebody. So we're excited.
Well, so if you're if you're interested,
yeah, if you hear or know, if you're listening, kind of fit what we've just been talking about, this is the place for you.
I mean, I just can't believe that it happened so quickly within 3 weeks, and with this passing, and it just had to have been a whirlwind for everyone involved.
It was one of those things that, so a little backstory, in 2006, Dr. Ochsner got hit by a train in his truck. He was headed out to a hunting lease, and it's a pretty blinded area to cross the train tracks, and this is out, out in the middle of nowhere. There's no, like, gates there or signs that are flashing.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one of those things that he got hit and ejected him from the car. And so he had about a year of not being able to practice because of broken pelvis and lots of different things.
Wow.
So fast forward, he's always had issues. And, something that we were regularly treating him in the office. He was getting massage therapy every week, and I'm treating him. And he was doing well. But leading up to that August, he was starting to have some more health issues that I think he was attributing a lot of that to the years and years of struggle of the train wreck, that I think that the cancer was just kind of taking over everywhere, and he attributed to that. But it got to a point where we're like, hey, Kurt, you got to go get checked out. Like, something's not right, more than just the musculoskeletal issues that we've been dealing with for so long. And I think when you think about Kurt, he's tough as nails, and not many people survive a train wreck like that. So I think he just powered through for a good while. I mean, I don't think it would have mattered if it was a month earlier or 2 months earlier, because it was everywhere.
Yeah.
So just sad deal, man. We all miss him a lot. But I'm glad it wasn't a long drug out thing either. So
So do you have plans for Ochsner in? I know you mentioned you're looking for that next person to hire. Do you guys do events or do things that how can people connect with you and in the practice?
Yeah. So I think our big goal would be to provide a single place a place where multiple things can be treated in an area. So I brought in a PT about, I guess this is almost 2 years ago? No, a year ago? Not sure exactly how long it's been, but Dina Brunk, she's a PT. She's been in practice for 21 years. She's fantastic. But she is her own business within our practice, and it's so great having her there because, so much of what we do is helping to restore function, movement. But I would say one of the weaknesses that we have as chiropractors, or as in our office, there's some chiropractors that do a really good job at this, but one of my personal weaknesses was strength and stability long term. So I wanted to be able to help people and be able to have someone close by that I could be like, hey, this is Dina. She was going to be able to come alongside us and help you get better for more than just symptoms for today or next week, but how do we create long-term health? Something that we can look at, from this year to the next, that we're building on creating a better foundation and lifestyle. So that was another part. We also have several massage therapists in the office that we work with. But ideally, I'd like to bring obviously another chiropractor, but I don't know who that person is yet. But I like the idea of having some type of other clinician, whether that's a dietitian, a nutritionist, or even a medical doctor or DO in the office, that we could kind of work together from a full body experience.
Holistic approach.
Because there's not a single profession out there that can help everybody. You know,
Very true.
chiropractic doesn't fix everything, you know.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of how can we get the right patient with the right doctor at the right
Mhm.
time. That's
Yeah.
kind of the goal at the end of the day. So not that we're ever going to have all those things in a single building, but if we can get them closer, that'd be the goal.
Yeah.
As far as connecting with us, um, my staff, they love doing funny videos, so they're regularly doing videos.
I saw one during the
Oh,
Olympics.
man, no, that's
It took off.
Yes,
We will add a link to.
oh, yes. They're one of the
If it's still
gymnasts.
live.
Yeah, there was a gymnast that apparently looks a lot like me. I don't see it personally, but I had so many patients that were like, "Hey, you look like this guy." It was the guy that was on the
That's
pommel
funny.
horse. So they were like, you need to like try to do
That is
some of these
funny.
things. So that was
That was a good one.
that was one of my my blunders. It's so hard to watch any of those. I can't watch them because they're just like, I look like an idiot.
That's funny.
But they're fun. So different social media outreach areas. But I do a decent amount of stuff with Fleet Feet as well, doing some screenings for them, just to volunteer time during their training events. Fleet Feet's been in Tulsa they just celebrated 21 years here in town. But they're a great resource in trying to, again, at the end of the day, how do we create a healthy lifestyle? So in their weekend training groups, after they're done running, I will go and help out with those. So something fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then going off of the Tulsa's home theme, we talked a little bit about family and growing up and being in the Tulsa area. But what does Tulsa mean to you? How is Tulsa home to you?
Yeah, growing up in Bixby, it's just so interesting to see the changes of Tulsa over the years. All the continual growth to see. But I'm a country kid. I grew up in the country, enjoy country life, and I think that Tulsa, as it is growing and getting a lot of these bigger things, it still has that real, like, I still know you, and that Tulsa's getting bigger, but it's still that small town. It's you run into somebody and they know this somebody, and they know your mom or your dad or your brother, and they work together, and it's just still that we live out a little ways out in south of Bixby now, and you still get the people that wave their hand at you and go into Quick Trip or whatever, and people are going to hold the door for you. I'm not a big world traveler, so I haven't seen different places, but I still really enjoy that Tulsa has kind of maintained that.
Yeah.
And we may not know each other, but we're gonna be kind and humble towards one another, and I love that about Tulsa.
Yeah.
I love that we do a lot of things in Tulsa that's it's Mio made in Oklahoma, or I love that that we have a lot of it's here. It's Tulsa brand. I love that we have our own flag in Tulsa now. I think that's just cool. There's a unity that's here, and lots of things that have, I think, brought Tulsa together, from the gathering place to so many different things that I love it.
Yeah.
Still.
Even in the intro with our podcast, we say it's the biggest town you'll ever experience. And I mean, it's one of the common things that we hear over and over again. It's, has all the big city amenities and the different scenes and restaurants and different areas of Midtown and then you just have everything, and then kind of the outskirts. Everything is 20 to 30 minutes away, like at a max.
That's one thing I love about just with the highway system. Like if you live on this side of the town, and you can come up 75, but you can cut over on 44. If you live on that side of 169 and cut over on the BA Expressway. Yeah. You can get most anywhere pretty quickly.
That's true. But then I heard last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, that Tulsa was rated number 14 in the most dangerous places to drive.
Oh.
I don't know.
I think we all grew up in the country and still think that way, and we just drive like crazy. I don't know.
I saw that as, all right. Well.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I contribute to that. I try not to.
But it's funny. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and just sharing your story and the background and kind of how you got started. And so I know the viewers are going to be interested in this, and we'd just appreciate your time today.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you having us on here. I love what you guys do.
Yeah, so check out Ochsner Chiropractic. Where's it located?
78th and Sheridan.
Okay.
So it's a standalone building there on the east side of the road, just north of 81st and Sheridan.
Awesome.
So it's been there for the 80s. The late 80s is when Kurt started the practice. So one of the few that are still in town from that time period anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great chiropractors in Tulsa, a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, good deal. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
Yep.